I am very excited. We have a very special guest today, my good friend Miranda, who is in my grad school cohort. And we're going to be having a conversation today about graduate school, teaching full time, balancing that world, and a little bit of tips and tricks that we have found along the way, thinking about how we go about doing all of that. So let's just start with introductions. My name is Kyle Cohen. If you don't know me, welcome to this YouTube channel. I am a third grade teacher here in Cleveland. This will be my upcoming school year, will be my third year of teaching. Miranda, want to give a quick little intro?
Yeah, I'm Miranda Lobis. This is my seventh or eighth year teaching, and I've taught 1 year in Cincinnati. It was where I student taught actually, and then the rest of my time here in Cleveland. So yeah, I guess 8 years. That seems longer than I feel like I've been teaching. But yeah.
And you teach?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're
High
good.
school English. So I've actually only ever taught grades 9 and 10, but yeah.
Awesome. Miranda and I are going to be sharing just like a conversation today. This is super informal. I'm not really planning on editing this very much unless if we have some catastrophe halfway through, which I guess we'll find out. So we'll just go with it. So Miranda, I think it would be best to just take it back, thinking about before starting our program or anything like that. When did grad school kind of come on your radar? Is something that you realized you wanted to do? Has it always been something that you knew you were going to do? And what that like decision process was? And then how did you kind of like start your research in terms of different programs? Because the choices are vast in terms
Yeah.
of where teachers can kind of go, and kind of how you narrowed those choices down and how you approached all of that.
Yeah. Well, grad school has always been like looming and weighing. As teachers, I think, well, maybe it's just at my school, but nearly everyone has their master's. So it is, I knew I wanted to go to grad school. I felt like I needed to go to grad school. So ever since I've been teaching, I've known that it was going to happen. And I actually first went to grad school to get my master's in English. And I began that program. And what I realized was I wanted to write more and not to study other writers. It just didn't end up working out. It really wasn't what I envisioned. And then my friend who did both her undergrad and graduate school at where you and I go, she told me about this program. And that's how it happened for me. But I am obviously going to grad school more years in than you. So what made you start sooner? Or
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think it's really interesting that in the state of Ohio, you are able to be a classroom teacher without a master's degree, which I
Right.
know is not true in all other states. I know that there are certain states, like in order to teach and get your teaching license, you actually need to have a master's. So,
Really?
which I think is really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
so for me, I've always like thought about school leadership. I knew that I enjoy teaching, but for me, I really want to have like a bigger impact on our education system, on our like system as a whole. And by no means am I ready to embark on that tomorrow. And I definitely love teaching and really want to continue this experience in the classroom for the foreseeable future. But knowing that I one day see myself in a principal role or a school-wide leader role, my thinking was like, why not just get started early? I have the time, I have the energy, I don't have too many other obligations outside of my job. So it just felt like something that I wanted to do. And after graduating from my undergraduate program, I missed school, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I missed the classes and all of those things. So it was a nice transition into doing it, and it's now just become a part of my everyday life.
I love school, and I hear you there. That's why I became a teacher. And that's not the case with all teachers, but it is for me. I loved school and I love being back in school. And I'm just so glad that I I just have this entire time felt like it's something I needed to do, and I'm just so glad it's happening now. And I, I would say I wish I had started sooner, but it's, all working out the way that it should. But um, I do love like being back in school, and I feel like that gives me credibility with my students by
Mhm.
telling them, you know, I'm in school too. So if I were to assign homework or whatever, like I know what that's like. I'm doing homework too, and that just gives me more credibility with them too.
Yeah, no, I hear that for sure. It's also been helpful to experience online class. A lot of our program has been hybrid and online. So for me, it's been really interesting before everything happened with our global health crisis,
Yeah,
to have to have the experience of being a student online, to see what that is like and what has worked and what has not worked, and
yeah,
to live that together. And then when we transitioned virtually to March, I know that my whole lens shifted because I was able to see as a student, okay, this is what really worked for me and what I know my students will need, and this is what has not worked and what I don't want to do.
yeah. And in our online classes, we've we've had such different classes, teachers who have approached it so differently, and obviously that's so dependent upon the type of class, the content, but we've been in super discussion heavy collaborative online classes, which has been really interesting. And then we've had class where we're just mostly listening to a teacher or a guest speaker. And so I didn't think that online could be as interactive as our one class this summer was, but that was really encouraging because that might be our reality in the fall. And I think this past spring, I didn't really do much of that. I didn't know like and I didn't take the risk and try, but I know that it's possible. And I guess I just felt like in the spring it was the end of the school year and we had done so many discussions in class, and we were doing other things, but if I have to do that all year, we'll but I can because we got to experience that.
Completely. And I think the class that we've taken this summer in particular has like truly modeled what it could be like to do school online. Like I feel like a full-time student. Like it is, I feel
Yeah,
like I feel present in what we're learning. I feel like I am truly absorbing the material, and it's like something that I'm thinking really critically about, which is something I never would have thought I could do with a virtual class or something online.
right. And I think that online to so many people is just synonymous with less than or less rigorous, but it doesn't have to be. And I think that we are all learning and realizing that it can't be because it's, not temporary. And I don't even know how my school is coming back in the fall, but our reality might be that it is all virtual. So we'll need to figure that out.
Completely. Thinking about your experience like up to this point, both including grad school and not, like work life balance is just a huge struggle for teachers and for just working professionals in general. But I think
Yeah,
teachers are just the kind of people who get so engulfed in their work, and it's just really hard to turn it off. And when you have students and families emailing you and texting you and contacting you,
right.
it's really hard to separate that life. And then you add grad school into the mix, and it's this
Yeah,
whole other beast of of a commitment and
yeah.
obligation that we now have. What has been effective for you in finding that balance and making sure you're doing everything you need to for your day job, and then you're also meeting all of the deadlines when it comes to grad school?
Yeah. Well, as with anything, I just think it ebbs and flows. That first semester, figuring it out, and I think we also happened to have like those courses we happened to take then were pretty intensive, and I didn't find much of a balance. But then the spring semester was completely different. So it and always I find that I'm much busier in the fall than I am in the spring with school. But I mean, I I have a planner. I obviously do things on the weekend. And I think if you do a little bit each day. Um, that's how I've been most successful. This summer, that's what I've done for our one course, just a little bit of work each day instead of doing it, maybe for in one sitting for 12 hours. And that has kept me sane too. And then what's been huge is that we're a part of a cohort, which I love. And then we have all of these people we can reach out to, just checking in on assignments if we're right about due dates and things like that, getting together to study for something. That has been what when we could get together, but that has been tremendous, is just having that cohort and just I don't if something feels like it's taking me a long time and then I hear that other people are like maybe struggling through something too, it's like, okay, I'm doing this right at least, It's just that sounding board that I think that has probably been the most helpful thing as far as that balance and keeping me sane and just knowing other people are, in the trenches with me.
I think something that's also really interesting that what you were saying made me think of is the fact that like our cohort, when we speak together, like with and alongside our like professors and faculty, like it really feels collaborative. So if there's an
Yeah,
assignment that we're finding just isn't working for us and is really confusing, there's a lot of like working together to find a way to accommodate our working schedules, to push
yeah.
things along, because they also understand that we're teachers all day full time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And even how we the cohort the year above us, this class that they were taking during the spring semester, or I forget what it was just so intense, and then that class was moved to the summer for us. I mean, that is so wildly helpful, and I can't imagine not taking that class in the summer. But yeah, you're totally right. Like just talking through something, and sometimes I forget something that's been really helpful is I don't like if we're writing on the discussion boards, I don't have to have all the answers. I can even
Right.
say, can you like that was a huge breakthrough. Like can you know, I'm not able to find an example. Would you mind pointing one out? That's what they're there for. And so that's just asking questions and not having to have all the answers has been an epiphany of mine.
Totally. I mean, so much of our school experience is like the teacher knows everything and they're in charge, and the students need to listen and do what they're told. And I think that this program in particular has really like shown what it could look like when there's this back and
Yeah.
forth between teacher and student and how that learning process can look.
Yeah, and also as school leaders, we're all going to lead differently, and it's been nice to experience different leaders in our professors and our teachers and each other. And there's no right way, and it's just and I love hearing how other people are thinking through things or what decision they might make. Because we're all different teachers, and naturally we'll all be different leaders and admins. So I just love learning from people who are different than me because that's the only way that we can be the best version of ourselves.
Oh, totally. And I think it's so interesting that the people in our cohort are teaching in such different contexts
I know,
and
I love it.
have such totally different experiences from each other. So when we're talking about one topic that one person is super knowledgeable and passionate about might be totally different from someone else and what they're passionate about. And the program's diverse in that sense, and then it's also diverse in just life experiences and the
Yep.
fact that some people have children and families and other people don't, and some people have been teaching for 2 years and some people have been teaching for 10, and it's just really interesting in that way.
And we have intervention specialists, elementary, high school, people in central office, PE. I mean, truly, we
Everything.
are so diverse with our experiences, and it's been private school, public school, charter
Right.
school. It's been that is so cool because we all have such different backgrounds and expertise and experiences. And I've loved that. I've absolutely loved that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. um if you were to like give a piece of advice for someone in terms of like if they're thinking about starting grad school or looking into programs, what advice would you give someone who's starting that process at the very early stages and they're about to embark on picking a program and narrowing down and those sorts of things?
Yeah, I really I went and like talked to people at 3 different schools, and just meeting with people and those initial conversations, and you can tell how responsive or helpful a program is by setting up those conversations. And I mean, that was hugely helpful. I know that I spoke with the director of our program before, applying and
Same.
embarking on it. And that just, how responsive they are with getting back to you with an appointment, wanting to help you then really tells you so much you need to know about how your time will be at that school and in that program. And most teacher education programs, I believe, are with a cohort, and I really could not recommend that enough. That would be probably one of my biggest pieces of advice, because I've looked at other programs outside of the school of education that aren't, and then those people aren't teaching, so I would say a cohort, and then just talking with the directors of the program that you are applying to, and seeing, like, it was so nice with ours because we could see what classes we'd be taking in what semester. It was so laid out, nothing has been a surprise. And I love that the director of our program, we also have a class with her every
Mm,
semester too. So, and she's so responsive via email. There's just nothing I'm like, oh, this is a surprise at all. At
right.
no point has anything been a surprise. It's everything that I've been expecting, which I think um, is what you want when you go to grad school. So I think that talking with the director and the cohort, I think, are my two biggest pieces of advice for sure.
I think those are huge. Like, we don't have the capacity to be frantically changing things or
No,
confused or like not sure what's happening. And it's not like we're sitting on our emails throughout the day and we can just
right.
like, it's set and it's moving and it's smooth, and you can tell like everything has been very thoughtful and it's been methodical, and they're really considerate to the fact that we're working full time. And I
Yep.
couldn't imagine anything else with this experience. So
Yeah, and I love what you said there, because I think that not enough people recognize that our job is not sitting on our computers emailing,
right.
which many jobs are. So I don't have the time in my day to figure something out with a change in school, or and a lot of jobs, people are available via email. That's their job, and that's huge, and that they are so considerate of that and are just fully accommodating that we are teachers all day. I mean, and it's still answering emails, grading, and that sort of thing too. So, yeah, that's a huge point that you made.
Awesome. Miranda, I appreciate it. Do you mind if I ask you some rapid fire questions to end this off?
Let's do it.
All right. Fill in the blank. Teaching is,
And art.
all right. What are the three most important things in or on your teacher desk?
Ooh, three most important things on my teacher desk. I have these Expo pens that I live by, that I grade with. They like glide and they're different colors. So those, I get them every year around the holidays. Those, my attendance binder, I am so old school and still take attendance by hand. I still input it, through our program, but I love that I have that says so much about me. So my polka dot attendance binder, pens, and oh, I mean tissues. Yeah, we'll go there.
Perfect. Favorite food that's a guilty pleasure?
Oh my gosh, cereal.
Oh, what kind? Any kind?
Oh, any kind. I've been on a Special K fruit and yogurt kick, but I mean Captain Crunch with berries, Fruity Pebbles, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, truly, Apple Jacks,
Incredible.
love it all.
Last show you binged, watched, and loved on television?
Oh, well, I am currently binging The Mindy Project,
Mm,
with Mindy Kaling. I adore her, so I am loving that right now. It's on Hulu. I don't that ca does that count? It's not on cable,
yes,
but okay,
of course. That's the world we're living in.
okay.
What's on your nightstand?
Books, tissues, um, a lamp, and yeah, that's it.
A snapshot of an ordinary moment in your life right now that brings you joy.
Ooh, a snapshot of an ordinary moment. I just love it would probably be me reading. I read so much in the summer, and that brings me a lot of joy.
Last one. Advice you would give a future educator.
Ooh, at the end of the day, kids are kids, and they're well-intentioned, and they're so pure, and just to never forget that, you know? So when they're being silly, or they're just excited, like, they're with their friends, and their school can be really fun, and I think we're learning that, like, kids are realizing how much they love school, and they miss going to school and seeing their friends, and so, um, sometimes we just have to let them be joyful and, talk to each other and catch up, and it's not and it's could be good because they can get that out of their system, and then we can get down to work, but just to not forget, that they wanna talk, and it doesn't have to be all business all the time.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Miranda.
Thank you. This
This was
was
fun.
fun.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really enjoyed having the chance to sit down with Miranda and reflect on our grad school experience thus far and the work we're hoping to do in the future. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to give it a like, write a comment down below if there are any questions that you might have that hopefully one of us can answer for you. Feel free to also send any questions over to me on Instagram. I'll be sure to get back to you there. If you are not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, now would be a great time to hit that red subscription button down below. I so appreciate you being here. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.